What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Kickass Podcast. We're here today to discuss AEW Dynasty and to go down the card. Of course, there are a ton of matches, which is no surprise here. We're just going to do a quick show. I do have to run off to my other job in the evening, so just wanted to talk about it though, because I'm sure it's the thing with this is with AEW rather you never go into a pay-per-view, or it's very rare, thinking like, "Oh, the pay-per-view is gonna suck," because the matches always deliver. It's just debatable on whether the stories for certain matches have lived up to get you kinda hyped to match what the in-ring quality is gonna be compared to the build getting there. So, with that being said, I'm not really gonna go through, the pre-show just for time's sake here, 'cause I obviously wanna get to the bulk and the most important part of the no offense, of the show here. But in the pre-show, they do have the six-man tag match for the AEW World Trios Champions and the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Champions going up against each other. The Acclaimed, of course, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn facing off against Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn. I just want Jay White free. So uh, I just want this to be done. So with that, I hope the Acclaim. I guess I am going to go through it really quick. It should be fair. um, but the Acclaim have just lost so much steam too. It's really sad to think, or maybe not sad, because they still are. At least they're still getting TV time. They're still champions. They're still involved, right? But it's just a far cry of what was going on a year ago, maybe. But with that being said, I see the Acclaimed winning here. Maybe that's just for pure hope that Jay White gets freed from this. But I'm not holding my breath on that one. I could very easily see Bullet Club Gold winning as well. Um, because the case can be made too. Like if Jay White's going to be involved in the trios, then make him dominant. But I want him to be done. The other match they have is Trent Beretta versus Matt Sydal. I obviously see Trent Beretta getting this one. He's newly on his bad guy run. And this is gonna be a really good match again, with Matt Sydal being involved, but it's just gonna be a showcase for Beretta. And then the other match they have, which I'm sure, or I'm not gonna say I'm sure, but I'm curious to see if they're gonna have any type of play in, is Orange Cassidy and Shibata facing off against Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. But this one, I could see Trent getting involved and having a quote upset victory for STP, but we'll see. Yeah, that's because Cassidy doesn't really take many losses, but I think that's the best bet at this point. But moving on to the main card itself, we have the AEW International Championship, Roderick Strong facing off against Kyle O'Reilly. I think this is going to be a really good match. I'm kind of I kind of feel like Kyle is gonna get this one, just because it makes sense, and you would hope that Kyle O'Reilly would be able to beat Roderick Strong, but it's just a matter of there's gonna be any interference or anything like that. But I think with not that he's on a hot streak, but with the momentum that he has right now, you kind of want to keep that going. So I would put the title on O'Reilly and have a good feel good moment. I could see that opening the show for real. That'd be a solid match to get things started. Next up, which this always kills me, the FTW rules match for the FTW Championship. Hook, of course, is your champion, facing off against Chris Jericho. They don't recognize the title, yet they keep getting. Or I'm not going to say they keep, because it's not like they're on every pay per view, so I'm not going to be dramatic there. But what's the point of putting it on a pay per view if it's not recognized? Like I wish we just got better clarification for like what that even means. You know what I mean? Sorry, I had something in my eye. Allergies been getting me. But yeah, and with this one with Hook facing off against Jericho and the story of Chris at first wanting to be a mentor to Hook, and I will give him credit. It was pretty funny when he got his age wrong when he was talking to Taz. He said something about he's been telling Taz for 30 years that Hook. There's something about like 30 years, and it cracked me up. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I just want Hook to do his own thing. Personally, I don't know why I just thought of this, but I'm not a fan of like the bad signal, with the hook. It's just kind of just not there for me. It just doesn't fit for whatever reason. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it's just kind of not not meshing with me. But with this one, with it being FTW rules, I can see Jericho doing some shisty shit. So I don't, I just, I would hate for Hook to lose the championship, even though it's not recognized to Jericho. But I get that would play into the story too. So I just can't, in all respect to Jericho. But I can't. I'm going with Hook on this one. But, and I keep saying like I hope Jericho takes time off just to freshen up his character, and he deserves time off. You know what I mean? Like I get it. He probably doesn't want to, um, but I just feel like he'd be best. But what do we know? You know. The next match on the card is Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe facing off against the House of Black, Malachi Black, Grady King, and Buddy Matthews. This again is going to be another one of those matches that's just it delivers. You know what I mean in the ring, and I think the story behind it has been pretty solid too. So this is one of those matches I'm just going to kind of sit back and just watch because I think each individual in this they're so different. I mean, the House of Black, obviously, you can maybe say they're more in sync, obviously, but Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe, like, can it be three more different people? Like, granted, Eddie and Mark probably have more in common, but just the combination of them and the dynamic, I just think that's what's going to make the match even more fun. So, as much as I hate to say it for Malachi Black and well, all of the House of Black, but I see Copeland, Kingston, and Mark Briscoe winning this one. I think it's good too, and I think you need it. Well, it'd be kind of shitty to put the title on Mark Briscoe and have him lose in a match, even though obviously it's not a title match or a singles match or anything like that. But why, just why have him take a loss? And unfortunately, the House of Black can probably take an L and just keep on going. But I don't know. It still just hurts my heart to see what's happening with the House of Black. And there's good and bad moments. I feel like there's like glimmers of hope. Um, man, like there's just so much money left on the table, and I think that's what what bothers me the most. Speaking of House of Black, we have a House Rules match rather for the TBS Championship. Julia Hart facing off against Willow Nightingale, and for real, for this one, I was kind of more torn than I thought of because, or than I originally thought I would be, rather. To me, I was like, oh, Willow's going to win. So it sets up her versus Mercedes at Double or Nothing. But I could see Julia retaining, since it is a House Rules match, going to face Mercedes at Double or Nothing, Mercedes beating Julia, and then having Willow face Mercedes as her first opponent. So if you can hear my dogs in the background, sorry, I think we got a delivery or something. Or they're just doing whatever. But I th- I think that's what I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Julia retains, and I would love if we got like a Mercedes heel turn. But I know like if I'm going with my prediction, it's not gonna happen. But like if Mercedes interfered and like beat up Willow or something, but Willow was just so beloved. Like you just even still like I don't think you want to really mess with that right now. So I'm going Julia retains, and I think we're gonna get Julia versus Mercedes at Double or Nothing, and then it's gonna set up for a nice little feud, like a full feud with Mercedes and Willow. Because if you think about it, like once Mercedes wins, like who is our first champ or defense going to be against? You could, obviously start a new story, but I think it'd be cool to kind of pace it out and potentially have Willow defeat Mercedes Monet, or at least have a good showing against her. I'm not going to say I'm sure it wouldn't be good for a lot of different reasons if you had Mercedes lose like 3 months after she wins the title on her first defense here in AEW. With just thinking about how things went in WWE, even though that'd be just fucking just wild. Um, so yeah, I don't see Willow beating Mercedes right off the bat, if that were to happen, but I think it'd be a good story and it would be a good thread to the next pay per view. So even though it'd be really cool to see Willow win here and face off against Mercedes, I just think that you don't want and I guess with her character too, like you really could. because with her, she's just a feel good character anyway. You're just gonna be happy for her. She'd get, I think it's what, like a month, a little over a month reign, but I don't think you wanna just put it on Willow just to put it on Mercedes. I think it'd be more substantial too to have a strong defending champion as Julia Hart going in against Mercedes. So you have one of the best in AEW's division going up against Mercedes Moné. So with that being said, I'm gonna stick with Julia Hart winning. Although it'd be really cool to see Willow win too. So I wouldn't be disappointed either way. I think it's gonna be a good match too. I'm really excited to see what they end up doing with the house rules aspect of it. Next up, I mean, this match kind of speaks for itself. You have the Continental Classic, Kazuchika Okada facing off against Pac. Um, I mean, this match is probably going to be the match of the night. You know what I mean? In ring wise, I mean, well, probably not. I take that back. With we have this semi main event, but man, that's why I said this card is going to be loaded. But I don't see Pat or Okada rather losing anytime soon. So, with this one, Okada is going to retain. I do like that they're keeping with the continental rules, so no interference or anything like that. So, I think it's going to be a strong match, good 15, 20 minutes. But Okada retains. The ladder match for the vacant AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Young Bucks facing off against FTR. This one, um, I mean, damn. Like, we're not going to get into the whole footage here again for time purposes. Just for me, because like I said, I got a jet here in a little bit. But I think I'm going Young Bucks here. I think they have the momentum here. I think they have, as much as I hate saying that, but just with the transgressions from from airing the footage, going into that, how just everything they did with Sting, right, in that story, and just kind of the path they've been on. I think that you might as well keep with it. You know what I mean? I think it would kind of hurt them more right now to take an L. So I'm going with the Young Bucks winning here, and it's a ladder match too. I mean, granted, I guess you could say something for FTR beating them at their own game, but I think the Young Bucks take the victory here, and they'll be the first ever three-time tag team champions for AEW, which is pretty cool. And they, with obviously not to say they deserve it because deserve is like a weird word, but I think that for what they've meant to this company, whatever side you're on. Obviously, I'm a big Punk fan, but regardless of how you feel about all that stuff, like they deserve to. I think that it's fitting for that. So it'd be pretty cool, and it's gonna be a kick ass match. So um, yeah, it's gonna be a great card, guys. As you go through each match here, it really kind of hits you like, damn, like this is gonna be good. Easy for 4.5 hours. um, Next up, we have the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Tony Storm facing off against Thunder Rosa. But this one is, as much as I wish Thunder was gonna get the W here, Tony is taking the victory. And I'm here for it. I'm a Tony Storm fan. A lot of people don't think she should be the champion. I'm okay with it for now, until they have something obvious. Since clearly Mercedes isn't going after her, I don't see Tony taking the L here. I think that maybe have some outside interference with this, as much as I hate it, to cost Thunder Rosa, maybe a returning Britt Baker. And then that sets up a feud with Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker to kind of take Thunder Rosa out of the title picture right now. And then you can focus Tony Storm on maybe a Chris Statlander or someone else. I mean, not probably not Chris, but just someone else. um, this match, guys, is kind of like Okada and Impact. Like I'm not even gonna try. It's Osprey and Danielson. Just take my 50 here. But to me, this is a no-brainer. Osprey is gonna get the victory here. But I just can't wait to see this. Like this is the highlight of the night for me. And last but not least, we have the main event, the AEW World Champion Samoa Joe facing off against Swerve. I think this is Swerve's moment. I think it's time. I think as much as I would love Joe to continue, I think, and he very easily could. I think you have to pull the trigger on Swerve. I think you have to pull the trigger on him now. Have him going into All In. I assume it's going to be probably like their WrestleMania. Them him going into it as the champion and possibly facing off against a Will Ospreay or wherever the cards lay at that point. But it just kind of seems the most obvious to me. But again, this match is gonna be really good too. I hope we don't get a Hangman Page sighting. That would kind of not kill it for me, but just kind of it's unnecessary. Just have it be straight up. And I just as much as I think about it, like having Paige interfere and cost Strickland would be terrible. But I don't think they're gonna do that. I think the cards are gonna fall into play. Swerve is gonna pick up the victory here, become the first African American champion for AEW, World Heavyweight Champion, and then go strong into the summer. Um, they are in St. Louis, so that's gonna be a pretty cool venue and pretty cool energy as well. But I think obviously the match of the card is going to be Osprey and Danielson. Like that's just going to be killer. But with that being said, thank you so much for checking out the show. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS or on the show's Twitter page at Kickash Podcast _. And I hope you have a great weekend, guys. And let me know what you think of the show.